Hey everyone, Alodar here. I can't even tell you how excited I am right now because of this piece of news that's come out. This is Blizzard's content release plan for their PvP system in Classic World of Warcraft, and I first read this earlier. I was at work earlier today. I literally just got home like 15 minutes ago, and I had to wait till now to produce a video. So I read through this earlier, and I was, like I said, I've just been so excited about this because this is way beyond what I was expecting them to release. A lot of people were thinking that they were just going to be releasing their PvP content in one of the phases that Blizzard had initially announced earlier, but they didn't. We didn't know which phase. This is completely different than what a lot of people thought. They're actually going to be releasing their content over a period of the 6 phases that they've previously announced. So this is unbelievably good news. So I'm gonna quickly go over the post, and then I'm gonna talk about what I'm really happy about, which is a lot. But I'm gonna go over a couple of things where people have mentioned that they're very concerned about or they really don't like, and I'm going to address those, and hopefully, people will, people that watch my video will be a little bit more relaxed as to what they're going to see here. So, first of all, it's again, I'm so happy to see that Blizzard is going to be releasing phases based on they're staying true to original retail vanilla, and that's what I love about this. So let me quickly read through this. I don't want to take up too much time, but anyways, let's read through it. Since we broke down the 6 phases of content that will be rolling out for Classic, we've heard the increase in requests for PvP details, so we wanted to get you up to speed on our plans there. As was the case when World of Warcraft originally launched in 2004, there won't be a formal PvP system in WoW Classic at the outset. You'll still be able to PvP, of course, and there will be no dishonorable kills, so you'll be free to repeatedly hunt down every player and NPC and say Stragglethorn Vale to your stealthy heart's content. That'll change once Phase 2 rolls around and we add the honor system, which will introduce honorable kills, dishonorable kills, and PvP rank rewards. So that's awesome right there. The honor system's not coming in immediately, just like it was in vanilla. Let me continue. The items you earn from PvP rank rewards will be the versions from patch 1.12. Now this here is the first piece of concern, so let's keep that in the back of our minds. We'll get back to that in a bit. Keep in mind, though, just as it did originally, it will require substantial time investment to rank up through the honor system. We're talking months here, people. Okay, it takes a long time. For those interested in the rank rewards, earning epic gear will require consistent dedication over a long period of time as a top contributor on your realm. We don't expect to see many people running around on these with these items early on, but we're certain Hillsbrad Foothills will still see its fair share of action. In the 3rd phase, we'll introduce the first battlegrounds, Alterac Valley and Warsong Gulch. Now, I've made comments on my stream many times that I wish they'd start with an earlier version of Alterac Valley and then work their way up. This is disappointing for me, but this is for another video. Anyways, alongside their associated vendors. One thing to note is that there were a couple of updates to these vendors over the course of the original patch release, so some items won't be available right away. For example, the spell penetration trinkets available from the Warsong Gulch vendor weren't introduced until patch 1.9, so we're currently thinking that we'll add these in Phase 5. The Arathi Basin Battleground will follow in Phase 4, along with its specific vendor. It'll be interesting to see how many people stay behind to guard the flag, or how many people forget to cap stables or the farm. That was always blew me away. How many people would just run right past the stable or farms? Anyways, finally in Phase 6, we'll have the World PvP objective in Silithus and Eastern Plaguelands, which will come out at the same time as Naxxramas. And then they go on to talk about here's what the map looks like. I'll just leave this up here while I talk about what's going on. Now, again, I'm so excited that they're releasing the PvP content in phases. And looking at the phases, I'm so happy, and I'll tell you why. Like, how am I going to say this? I love the fact that they're releasing the content in these stages for one reason. That's how it was released in original retail. So read the forums, I've read Reddit, I've read the comments below this post, and I've listened to people talk in Discord about these phases and what they don't like about it. For those of you that didn't play original retail vanilla, these are the steps that was essentially released in back in the day. I'm a no changes guy. I want it released the same way it was back in the day. I want it to stay true to how retail initially launched, and this is what this is giving us. The first piece of the first item that people are concerned about is the fact that the honor system was released, or is being released, before the battleground system. This is awesome because it's the way it was back in vanilla, or back in retail. And I've heard people, I don't want to talk poorly about people who never played original retail and who only played on private servers, because I have a lot of respect for those people. Some of them are fantastic players. I could only wish to be as good as some of them are. However, the argument that I hear is that because the honor system is being released before Battlegrounds, before Ultralight Valley and Warsong Gulch, that's going to cause people, and this is what happened on private servers, it's going to cause guilds to form death squads where they basically sit at really popular flight hubs and they just gank people as they fly in. And those people that fly in have no chance. They just fly in, 10 people immediately kill them. Guess what? That happened in retail as well. And then I hear people talk about how it immediately, as soon as this system came into place, immediately that day death squads were started. Guess what? That's what happened on vanilla as well. I remember flying into lots of popular hubs to Winter Spring or whatever, and guess what? Ganked right away. But guess what also happened? People learned how to adjust. They learned how to adapt. They learned how to use communication, whether it was general your general discussion, or your chat in your zone chat, or voice chat, whatever we used back in the day. Was a Ventrilo. I can't even remember. It was too long ago, and I'm too old. But people learned how to adapt. And it was actually exciting because you'd find out, oh, there's a death squad sitting here. You'd learn this before you flew in there. You'd learn to move around them. So you learned how to adapt, and it made the game more exciting. It made it one more challenge that you had to overcome. So when I hear people say, oh, there's going to be death squads and it's going to totally ruin the game, no, it won't. It brought an added level of excitement, and if you want to experience classic World of Warcraft with no changes, this was something that was there back in the day, and people had to learn to adapt. And it made it actually a lot more interesting, because then death squads would come in, and guess what would happen? Your own faction would rise up. They'd find out where these death squads were. There'd be a death squad of, say, 10 people in Winter Spring. Guess what? If you had Alliance in Winter Spring, Horde would bring 20 people. And then Alliance would, want to clear those people out again. They'd bring 30. And it turned into like a big, huge battle, and it was absolutely amazing. It brought a lot of fun to the game. And I'm looking forward to really being able to participate in that sort of stuff again. So again, if you don't like the fact that you're going to fly into certain areas and you're going to be ganked, I might suggest you play on a PvE server, because this is the way it was back in retail. And one more thing, like I'm not going to proclaim to be the best PvPer anymore, but back in the day when World of Warcraft first came out, players that came from other games looked at World of Warcraft as a very Care Bear game. Is that even a word anymore? In gaming, I don't even know. Leave your comment below and let me know. But World of Warcraft was looked at as a joke for world PvP. If you came from games like Ultima Online or Shadowbane or Ashran's Call, like if you died in World of Warcraft, people were like, this is a joke, you don't lose anything. Like, I kill someone and I don't get to loot them. Like, I killed them, their body's there, why can't I take their shit? That's how it was back in the day. People looked at World of Warcraft as a joke as far as world or PvP is concerned. When I talk about games where I list off like my favorite games for world PvP, I don't know that. I honestly don't know that World of Warcraft would make my top 5. It's still a great game. I love vanilla itself, but as far as world PvP goes, I don't know that it's not that great. That is one of the better things to do in vanilla, but I mean, there's not really anything that you're losing if you die in vanilla World of Warcraft. You don't lose XP, you don't lose your items. In Ultima Online, you lost all your gear, like everything, your armor, your weapon, everything in your backpack. In Shadowbane, if you had any gold on you, if you were farming, if you had any gold on you, hadn't made it back to the bank yet, you lost it. Same as any gear in your backpack. In Asheron's Call, I believe it was the same thing. So to hear people say, well, if you fly into wherever, into Winter Spring, there's a gank squad there, well, figure something else out. You know, rise up, get a couple of groups together and go clear those people out. You know, I mean, that's what part of what made vanilla World of Warcraft so fun. So it's a little disappointing when I hear people that are supposedly pro no changes, but only played on private servers, suddenly start suggesting that no, we need to make this change. That's disappointing, guys. That's actually kind of disappointing. Anyway, so that's the one concern that I heard. Personally, I love it. I love the fact that it's in a separate phase. So those of you that don't, maybe you might want to look at how it was back in vanilla, and if you think it was any different than it was on private servers, it wasn't. There was death squads roaming all over the place. We had to deal with it back then too. So anyways, the second piece that was a concern for some people is the items you earn from PvP rank rewards will be the versions from patch 1.12. Now this here, I understand this concern because well, first of all, the rewards were not the 1.12 rewards, so that is different than original retail. So that in itself I don't like. However, Blizzard does mention down here, and this is, I hope this will help ease your concerns a little bit. Down here, I've read it once before, I'll read it again. One thing to note is that there were a couple of updates to these vendors over the course of the original patch releases. So some items won't be available right away. For example, the spell penetration trinkets available from the Warsong Gulch vendor weren't introduced until patch 1.9. So we're currently thinking that we'll add these in phase 5. Now this comment, so here you go. One thing to note is that there were a couple of updates to these vendors over the course of the original patch. So some of these items won't be available right away. So I'm hoping that comment right there will ease some people's concerns. I understand why they're concerned. But what I wish Blizzard would have done is they would have followed this up, and instead of using a spell penetration trinkets, I understand why that's a concern for PvE, but I wish they would have said, for example, the spell penetration trinkets and certain weapons available from Warsong Gulch, spell penetration trinkets from the Warsong Gulch vendor weren't introduced until patch 1.9. I wish they would have also mentioned that certain weapons won't be available at the beginning as well. I think that's what they mean, but because they didn't actually specifically say that, it has people concerned. I don't think that those weapons are going to be allowed in right away, because some of those pieces of gear are best in slot until late in the game. Like you use those items right through Blackwing Lair. So again, that's I think that should help ease the concern of some people that are concerned about the PvP rank rewards. Anyways, again guys, I just want to quickly to sum up, I'm very, very happy about the phase release plan that they have here. I don't know that I could have asked them to do it any differently that I would have been happier with. The honor system is going to be going to bring back a part of the game that we haven't experienced in forever. The death squads that were kind of roaming around. Just learn to deal with it, guys. It's not that big of a deal. Instead, you find out where those death squads are before you fly out. Don't fly to that location. Fly somewhere else and then just ride around it. And quite frankly, when people realized to do that, those death squads ended up just basically leaving, because suddenly, after like 15 minutes of being there, people stopped flying in there. And then they were like, well, what do we do now? So they'd have to move on. So anyways, that's kind of the best way to deal with that, guys. But just be in constant communication with people in the zone, or talk to people in whatever voice program you're using. Whether it's Ventrilo still or whether it's Discord. I think it's fantastic the way they're bringing up the phases. So anyways, guys, that pretty much brings it to the end of my video. I really hope you enjoyed the video. This is a really important topic, so if you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. And again, as always, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave them in a comment down below. I would be happy to get back to you. If you want to talk to me live about anything to do with Classic World of Warcraft, whether it's the PvP content plan or whether it's anything else to do with Classic World of Warcraft, please feel free to hit me up on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Alodar. We're 5 nights a week at the bare minimum. We're talking about Classic World of Warcraft and everything to do with things that are happening in the news with the Classic World of Warcraft, things that are going on in the game, etc., etc. Things that we're excited about, such as this PvP content plan, and even things that we're not excited about. So please feel free to hit me up there. And like always, I hope you guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you again soon.